The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
A warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar session hosted by LAPP Asia Pacific. Our topic today is adapting to the isolation economy. Just a little on the housekeeping before we start the presentation. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them onto the question and answer box on your GoToWebinar control panel. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar to answer to your questions. If you experience any technical difficulties during the webinar, do click on the GoToWebinar invite and you will be able to rejoin back to the webinar. So our recommended browsers are Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge, or you may also log into your GoToWebinar mobile application. With that, I'd like to introduce to you our speakers for today's session. We have Mr. Lee Boon Hong from LAPP Asia Pacific. So Boon Hong is our regional product marketing manager, and he brings us his experience in electrical, electronic, industrial automation manufacturing industry. So together with him, we also have Mr. Mark Liu She from Tosibox. He's the VP of Sales Asia Africa of Tosibox. So Mark brings 20 years of experience in both hardwired and field bus solution in the industry, and he's also an established tech developer. All right, without further ado, we will now start the session. Over to you, Boon Hong.
Thank you, Celine. Hi, everyone. My name is Boon Hong. I'm really excited to be present today to guide you through the first part of the webinar. Reliably connecting the world. LAPP is best known for the Flex, which is the original oil-resistant and flexible multi-core cable, along with Unitronic on data transmission, Etherline on Ethernet communication systems, Skin Top Glands, Epic industrial connectors, Hydronic fiber optic systems, FlexiMark for the marking systems of industrial applications, and Sylvan, which consists of conduits and drag chains. Within these brands are more than 40,000 standard products available internationally. We are present in all the major economies in the world. LAPP is a manufacturer and solution provider for industrial connectivity. We have all been very active in the Asia Pacific region for the last 25 years. These were really busy years because in that time, we have set up 5 factories in Asia, 90 sales offices, hired more than 1,000 people. We were also busy setting up R&D centers and creating Asia-specific products for the Asian markets. In the region, we are in all the major countries such as China, India, Korea, Japan, ASEAN, all the way to Australia and New Zealand, supporting you via direct offices, joint ventures, or appointed partners. We are really not too different from all of you. The COVID-19 situation has hit us all hard, big or small, local or multinational. It's almost like a reset button for all of us. We are not a huge company, but like every one of you, we have factories, warehouses, and sales offices in many countries. And keeping it all running to ensure our customers can keep going is definitely a challenge. We have also struggled to get our operations running when the lockdowns came quickly in most countries, in different phases, in different styles. You can imagine, for instance, in Singapore, some of us can get a haircut and some of us are stuck at home. We had to ensure that the customer services can continue to take orders and talk to our customers, especially those providing essential services. Our warehouses needed to be able to minimize disruptions to our supply chain and deliveries to our customers assuming that they can accept deliveries and are running. Factories have to be kept running as well, if possible. We have to monitor our machines, keeping a head count to the minimal within the facilities. We want to take the opportunity to share some of our experience and thoughts. Here are some ideas of what it is important to keep operations running today and beyond, because there's not really a going back to where we were. We are all in the same boat, as what Martin Luther King has said. We have all learned many new words and terminologies during this period and quickly expanded our vocabularies. Things like social distancing, flatten the curve, pandemic, COVID. We have adopted new behaviors like wearing masks in public, no shaking of hands, acquiring of new skills. For instance, we could be masters in Zoom, Google Duo, Microsoft Teams. Most of us, if not all, are having remote access, doing home-based learning, getting food deliveries to home. Of course, last but not least, we attend webinars. That's why all of you are here. And of course, we need to also understand a term called isolation economy. These two words were actually coined by the Forbes magazine. It says, we all need to connect. The need to be connected socially is one of the most basic human needs, because that's how we socialize and that's how we do business and how we work. The isolation economy is based on the principle that people will travel less to complete everyday activities. Instead, they will be able to complete them just as effectively from their homes or remotely. Going to the office is being replaced by working from home. Driving to supermarket or mall or restaurants is replaced by home delivery, and so on. Department meetings are replaced by video conferencing, and we've got customer discussions being replaced by chats on the internet. In the isolation economy, we don't go out for things. They come to us instead. This is a concept that has been in the making for years. Coronavirus has not created this way of life. It has just made us aware of how we can continue to thrive, even as we are increasingly secluding ourselves from our neighbors. Which then brings us to, how do we really service our equipment out there in the field? How do we support our installations or factories? The entire economy must go on, but in a different or new normal. What is then this new normal in the isolation economy? To understand how to work in this isolation economy, let's think about what we know so far. There is no quick bounce back because no one has a foolproof cure or vaccine. Next, on travel restrictions, countries changing the travel rules all the time with little warning. You might not be able to hop on a plane tomorrow and troubleshoot or reset machine parameters. In the good old days, you can just take a day flight into Thailand or Jakarta from Singapore, or New Delhi from Bangalore, fix an issue, and then come back home. Well, that is the good old days. In preparation, you need to be able to access or monitor the equipment you have installed anytime, anywhere in the world, but remotely. On processes and infrastructure, to do that, you need to bake in these processes to the way your company works with your customers or stakeholders. You need to have a simple and scalable way to do this and have the infrastructure in place to do it. The solution also needs to be cost-effective and, most importantly, secure. Last but not least, on future proofing. New waves on pandemic could always be possible. Bill Gates spent the last 5 years warning us about something like that. Now that we know what it means, we had better make sure we prepare accordingly. It could be another pandemic of a different sort, like H1N23 or another COVID pandemic Who knows? We firmly believe in the 3 Ks, what I term as the 3 cardinal rules of the isolation economy. For the first one, we need to keep our employees safe, where health is for sure the #1 priority. They must be able to work remotely, deliver on their job remotely as much as possible. Think of Zoom and Microsoft Teams that I had mentioned previously. You definitely wouldn't want to work for a company that puts your life or your family in danger constantly too. The next lockdown must not mean that our operations come to a total halt. Your operations and your customers will definitely be well prepared, and they can probably continue running through the next lockdown, which means that we all need to be able to do so too. We must be able to continue even if we have another similar crisis. Having to travel when a pandemic is going around, definitely not in conformance with the first K, which is to keep your employees safe. Furthermore, with the new norm, businesses would have to adopt to make travel for only the most essential duties. Customers and management would have to learn to accept technical support via remote access, and this will become another new norm. We have a solution that will have 3 S's that will fulfill these criteria. The first S, simplicity. There's no need to involve lots of people to set up remote access, which big organization needs IT or manufacturing teams to put that in place. You can get to set up in minutes, secure certain connections, get in and get out quickly, grant access to and from anywhere around the world. This solution does not have to cost tens or thousands of dollars. The next S is security. Unfortunately, COVID-19 doesn't stop the cyber criminals. In fact, they might be even busier. A solution which isn't secure is not really a solution at all. We have to recommend that whatever the solution is, it must have edge-to-edge security. It also has to work from providing discrete points of access within a machine or line to a factory network. The solution then has to be scalable, which is the third S. What has been tried and tested for centuries? A physical lock and a key, something that has worked nicely keeping secrets and access locked up, is what LAPP, together with Tosibox, our technology partner, will show you with business case examples and the technical details of the solution. The solution is simple, secure, and scalable to deliver what we all need to function and thrive in the isolation economy. With this, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Mark Dilshert from Tosibox. Thank you.
Thank you, Boon Hong. So thanks for sharing the insights on isolation economy. Now we hand it over to Mark to take us through what Tosibox can do for you. Over to you, Mark.
Celine, thank you. Boon Hong, thank you very much for that introduction. It makes my life a hell of a lot easier with the scene set and understanding a little bit more on why we're here today. So you're going to spend the next 30 minutes with me learning how to optimize your efficiencies, create secure OT networking connections, and be able to support your business from anywhere in the world with Tosibox technology. So when we have a look at the start of the technology and we look at what the different pillars, as we call it, consist of in an OT world, we're going to start by referencing 4 pillars of OT. From left to right, we start with things and devices. So those could be a single IP address for a device or a full Class A network sitting in your manufacturing or facility environment. Then we're going to talk about the connectivity or network for that environment. That's not a restricted or siloed approach. So when we talk about that connectivity, that's over the World Wide Web, giving you the ability to do data storage and collection on premise at a head office or centralized server or in the cloud. And then furthermore to that, then having the advantage of being able to start utilizing those all-important cloud services, whether it be analytics, whether it be just visualization, orchestral layer, whatever it may be. So when we have a look a bit further into this and we take the OT model that currently exists, we have a lot of hype around OT. A lot of people are doing some amazing things, but still with certain challenges that exist. So the current, what we call outdated OT model, is where there is a one-way data flow of information being provided. That data goes over any form of internet connection and is getting stored generally in a centralized cloud environment. Some OT providers have developed their own cloud, which then has certain data privacy risks around it. And then you have that visualization and machine learning, artificial intelligence, and everything that sits. But the challenge on this is, with that one-way data flow, as soon as something on the edge, so when I refer to something on the edge, it means those things and devices that we opened with. As soon as there's an error with one of those, it could be configurations on a PLC, setup of a drive, or whatever it may be. The person visualizing the data or user that's looking at this data either has to then get up and go to the edge, or alternatively has to get someone on site in order to assist with making those corrections. So this adds a separate set of challenges. But things have changed with these challenges. So when we have a look at the OT model, so operational technology connectivity, we have all those standard devices that you use on a daily basis. So whether you're in building automation with HVAC systems or industrial automation with drives and PLCs and DCSs and so forth, okay? And no matter what OEM equipment you're using, those are all regarded as those things. Then we bring in the cloud services. So that's AWS, Azure, a virtual machine in the cloud, whatever it may be. We take your standard visualization platform, SCADA system, and whatever else you're using in your day-to-day basis, and the addition of other components which makes up a digitized environment to create that OT network. That could be technologies like PCs, Macs, iOS, Android, or other network servers and streaming video and so forth. And the importance then of having the ability to do a secure two-way communication between all these devices. So when we have a look at these OT networks, what are the essentials that hinge around making a decision on a good network? The first and foremost is the ability to have an automated and intuitive network management on that network. What does that do? It keeps it simple and easy in order to be able to create these ecosystems, manage these ecosystems, but without having to worry about, is it deployed in the same manner every single time? You might be a global operation, so you're looking for people to create these connections in the same simple manner anywhere in the world. Or you might be adding and removing users on a regular basis, and you need that intuitive network management to know what changes need to be automated and adjusted along the way. The second one is, and this is a big one, is this layer 2, layer 3 connectivity for device interaction. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean that we're giving you the ability to update the firmware on the device. That means we're giving you the ability that sitting from the comfort of your home, from the comfort of your office, or wherever you're located at that stage, could be a public Starbucks or a Macca's, you have the ability with Tosibox technology to connect into that environment and down to that Class A network, PLC, drive, and so forth, and make changes in order to keep your processes optimized and running at any stage, as well as feeding that data through into the normalized environment. Feeding the data on an always-on data acquisition. So the same technology, the same networks, giving you multiple solutions. That network is edge-to-edge or point-to-point cyber secure. It's encrypted, it's tunneled, and it's keeping authenticated users secure of sharing their information. Then having the ability to bring in a concentrate of cloud servers, on-premise or both, in order to share and store that data. Most important, once you've deployed these systems, there's always the open question, scalability and cost of ownership around that scalability. So the future proofing of the technology that you decide on needs to be able to scale at any point with as low as possible barrier to entry, and to be able to meet all the demands of your organization. And then last but not least, compatibility. So we've got to be able to cater for compatibility with all those different OEMs and manufacturers of equipment that you're using in your environment in order to keep your processes running. What does the OT model actually consist of? It consists of two components. The first one is an ecosystem, and the term ecosystem means a complex set of interconnected systems. And once again, I'd like to highlight those interconnected systems are not just on-premise or in facility. Those are globalized interconnected systems. And the second part is the OT network, which is the ability to store and exchange that data through a centralized communication system. Okay, so you can see now how we're starting to bring all of this together and put context to it. And that is the reason why Tosibox was created. It's the world's first purpose-built OT networking standard. And the importance on standard, whether it's the standard of how we deploy things, the standard in our technology, or how we've just brought it all together. When we do a bit of a comparison, it's always good to have a look to say, well, what is the differentiator? And I'm either using other technologies currently, or I plan or have assessed to use these technologies. What is the differentiator between these technologies and what Tosibox does? So from discussion with our clients, Fortune 500 companies located globally, these were three headings and discussions that came out from the different topics around complexity, cost, and security, which were inhibitors for the reason why these clients weren't deploying this OT networking and technology. They were possibly insufficient, unscalable, or in a lot of cases, because they were adapted to their environment, they were just too expensive. So in the first two columns here, we've got what we refer to as traditional IT networking. Please, folks, I make the statement, there is nothing against this technology, okay? Some are very fit for purpose, market leaders, okay? However, when it comes to connectivity in the OT environment, they weren't necessarily designed for it. So because they weren't designed for it, they're not optimized around usage in that environment. So when we have a look at that IT platform design, they weren't necessarily designed for OT. So the complexity in setup of an ecosystem, support of an ecosystem is complicated. The costs are generally very high because the technology was designed for a corporate IT environment. And then because of the complexity, so the security risk is generally high, and you've never got that guarantee that the person setting up your system has the competence to make sure that all the areas of security risk are covered. Then going on to handmade IT solutions. There was a whole development around that M2M environment. We saw the evolution of 4G routers, and once again, nothing bad on any of these technologies. But if we do comparison to what's available on optimized solutions that are available from the latest and greatest, you can start seeing the difference now on complexity, cost, and security again in comparison to these vendors. Then coming out of the industrial environment, we've seen over the last while the emerge of cloud-based remote access solutions. So these are OEM vendors that come out of the industrial environments. They developed hardware, which is what they know best. They then had UIs developed within a cloud space in order to be able to talk to their hardware, which gave clients the start of this whole being able to do a remote connection. And I refer to it as a remote connection because all of these technologies are very much a siloed approach. So you're going in and doing a lengthy configuration in the cloud, connecting down to a single device. And every time you want to add a new device, you need to add the same process over and over again. So the scalability was a challenge. Linked with this as well was the highlight around the fact that you needed to do an account-based solution. So costs were never ever fixed. It wasn't upfront, it was ongoing, okay, and it was linked to you putting a credit card into that environment. And then the last but not least, and I highlight, it's not a cybersecurity solution. And for the reason being is the data that you're sharing through that cloud is in a public environment. You are not in control of that data, so it cannot be regarded as cyber secure. Then looking at the comparison against how Tosibox sees it, Tosibox is a solution that was designed and developed for that OT environment, purpose built. So we took engineers in mind and what their needs were around creating these Cisco style networks, but without the complexity of having to employ that engineer in order to create those networks. We also, and the first point, we highlight on the automated approach to setup. So no matter who's creating these connections, in what language, in what country around the world, the end result is still the same. The connection is created in the same manner through its automated approach time and time again. We've reduced the costs, both from a setup and an ongoing perspective. And we challenge anyone to have a look at that cost when we have a look at the OT networking environment. And we've eliminated all security risks, giving edge-to-edge cybersecurity, as we mentioned, between users, the edge, or those devices, and cloud or on-premise server, bringing together a whole private network. When we have a look at that automated infrastructure, we have mentioned the fact that we've done this automated networking, eliminating any human error. We've mentioned the fact about the layer 2 and layer 3 connectivity. So once again, just to highlight, remote maintenance and device interaction. Not having to leave the comfort of your home, your desk, or your place of operation where you're needing that information or control in order to adjust these outcomes. With Tosibox, it's all possible from a central point, irrelevant of where the assets are located around the world. That always on data acquisition, so bringing everything to a central point or multiple points. Automated security and access control. So you can see now that the whole approach on how we've done it with keeping everything simple yet secure and optimizing those processes through an automated approach. And then the unlimited network scalability. So you can start small, you can start with a single device. We'll show you just now about some opportunities on where to start. And from there, you can grow an ecosystem to whatever size you want. So test the technology, see what we say, factualize on it, and proof is in the pudding. We challenge you to trial it for yourself, and you'll see what we're talking about at the end of the day. When we have a look at the cybersecurity side, a big point, zero trust OT cybersecurity. So what does that mean? It means that from that zero trust policy, unless you're authorized users, you cannot gain access to the system. Unless it's authorized edge devices, it can't communicate to the system. There's no inbound ports for the system. There's no usernames and passwords on public domains. So we've created that zero trust environment, even down to the management of the data has a zero trust data policy. So when you're building networks for Tosibox technology, you're creating all these connectivity and ecosystems. We cannot see your data that's getting shared. We're just the transport layer for that data. So self-creating those environments, the highlights on third-party cloud providers. So we sit in a cloud instance that is your cloud instance. So we are providing a private network for you out of a cloud, whether it be in Azure, AWS, or just your own hosted VM environment. We're able to create that private networking. It all starts with a physical first multi-factor authentication. So Boon Hong spoke about that lock and key. We use the same principle and process. The lock sits on the edge, so where that data is generated and where you're looking to get the information from. And the key is the authorized user, that is either a crypto serialized USB key or a software key issued by the rights from the crypto serialized key. And that allows you to be an authenticated user on this ecosystem. No static or public IP addresses are used in this policy. So what are we doing by not using any static IPs or public IPs? We've removed the surface of attack and we've removed the cost. We've removed the complexity around managing them. So you've got a simple approach of being able to apply an internet connection to an edge device and you're ready to go. Then building up the ecosystem with your users is purely just dragging users and edge points into an access group. Still very simple, yet secure in creating all of this. And the last point is a highlight around your ecosystem never dates. So we're keeping you up to date continuously with over-the-air updates. So that consists of a security portion and a software firmware portion. So we constantly analyze with our R&D team what's needed from clients. We're listening to market input from clients who are looking for new features. We're listening to security risks in the market, and there's constant updates on keeping this safe and secure. Then comes the merge. So a lot of people are using IT networks and getting IT to do a certain amount of their work, which is challenging and costly. Then there's the OT side with engineers that are trying to find solutions in market, but are often challenged around the IT knowledge aspect. So we bring a frictionless IT-OT integration. What does that mean? It means we're able to give engineers the ability to create these OT networks with no special ports needed for integration with IT. We only use outbound ports, no inbound ports required. The outbound ports we use are standard IT known and trusted applications. Again, no static or public IP addresses needed. So we're not, unlike the DMZ, we don't need to worry about any public IPs for people to come into the environment. As long as you're an authorized user, you have access. That intuitiveness, again, comes in the automated process of the firewall as well. So there's no firewall to configure in the application. It's automated, it sits in the background, keeping you safe and secure. But as you add and remove and change, make changes on your ecosystem, the firewall makes those changes in an automatic manner and is able to work automatically behind corporate firewalls in your existing environment. So you can put Tosibox technology behind your current applications and they will work. We support all the standard IT protocols that professionals know and trust, whether it's NAT one-to-one, DHCP, VLAN, and so forth. So it's a familiarity for IT people. But what it does is it gives you opportunity to build your own OT network, and beyond every edge device, whether it's our hardware or software solutions, we give you the ability to build a full Class A network. So you could have a fully populated LAN network in a manufacturing plant, put a Tosibox device on it, and you can connect to all those devices beyond that network. And that can be done in a WAN format with a standard internet connection on site, or a cellular ready format, purely up to you. This is then the types of ecosystems that are created. So in block 1 shows you an application where you've got a user connecting to multiple boxes. That's done in minutes by serializing that key with those locks, and you're ready to go, and it is fully transparent and seamless. In the reverse of it, you could have multiple users connecting to a single box, same type of seamless connectivity and simplistic manner. Then you might have external access requirements down to site level, device level, port level, protocol level. It doesn't matter. The master or the owner of those locks that is serialized can then give external access to a vendor in real time to allow them access to a specific site and retract it in real time as and when it's needed. And then the easiest approach to cloud networking is loading software, which we have pre-sales engineers that can support you on. And with one tick, you're bringing as many Tosibox locks sitting around the world onto a centralized cloud environment in minutes. And it is that easy. So you've created that private network through the cloud environment. This is then the start of what you're doing with your whole ecosystem. So if we're just taking hardware components with those locks and keys, you serialize a whole lot of devices, you deploy them around the world, and you've created the start of your remote access. But it's more than that. And for those that are saying right now, well, I only use remote access, it will come a time when you're needing more than that. You're possibly needing to give access control to other people in your organization around the world, the end customer, a support system integrator, and so forth, to be able to build up this secure private network of managed users. And then last but not least, bringing in that cloud environment to be able to do data acquisition in a centralized location to push their data through. And with Tosibox, we provide all of that within the technology of using locks, keys, and our cloud connectivity. So you're not having to buy other solutions in order to make up this complete ecosystem. It's all in a single ecosystem. Then from there, you've created your own OT network. You're managing your own data. But you also have the ability to then feed into third-party cloud environments. So you might have an analytics provider or an artificial intelligence provider or a machine learning company that has a cloud platform that can do some cool stuff for you around visualization of your data, putting it into context and adding value to your operation. We allow for the connectivity of that environment and for you to feed that data into that platform, but you're still in control of your data and you still own your data through your own OT network. Here we are showing a couple pictures of applications that we do around the world. So no matter what application, whether you're a machine builder, whether you're a gym equipment manufacturer, a ski lift manufacturer, a process automation plant, and so forth. Tosibox has the ability to provide seamless connectivity on that Ethernet, so the TCP IP layer, to give you access to that data from anywhere. So it doesn't matter where the machine's been deployed to, it doesn't matter what technology is sitting on the machine or the network on the edge, we give you that seamless connectivity. When we have a look at how this connectivity works, we've got 3 different slides here showing a typical corporate application. So let's talk about the whole isolated economy. You're not able to access your office, but you still need access to the network at the office. The first application shows you here where you can put one of our devices down. You can do it on a fixed IP basis to connect to certain devices, and within seconds, you have access to those devices from anywhere in the world. The second one is a very similar connection, except the difference here is we've put our equipment in what we call client mode. You plug it in on the LAN network, give it power, and it automatically finds everything within that LAN environment. By putting a key into your machine in the comfort of your home, you connect to the lock in your corporate environment, and automatically we've put you on your corporate environment with no boundaries. You can click print and it'll print in your office. You can pull a license off the server to do CAD design or whatever it may be, and it'll work seamlessly. The third option is a purely software solution. And this is where, for bigger users, you might have thousands of people accessing your local network. It then allows you to bring in more users into that environment to seamlessly access the IT LAN network. Then going into more industrial applications, we've got a design here for a backbone that was done for a telco. There were 4,000 mobile cellular towers deployed, and the architectural design was done that they had added multiple routers, gateways, and communication devices in order to be able to push all the data up that they were needed. The challenge around it was with pushing that data up, they added a lot of complexity. They added multiple devices, and with that complexity generally comes a security risk. So we changed the design by adding the Tosibox component. You'll notice we've gone from 3 and 4 devices down to a single device, having the cost-saving aspect. We've given the simplicity around that secure connectivity up into the cloud there, so that blue cloud that we're showing, which was a Microsoft Azure application, and we've created a private network for the client between their cloud, all their IoT analytics, SQL databases, and everything that goes on top of it. And we're feeding that data up to the central point over Tosibox technology. We've also secured the user on the right with our software, making that end-to-end connectivity. And then the most important side is the client no longer has to drive to the 4,000 sites to do their routine maintenance, apart from if they've got hardware components to replace. Otherwise, they have seamless access to the edge. Another one was done for a mass scale PV plant, where a design was done with multiple VPN tunnels. You can see it's partly done by IT, because there was the inclusion of firewalls and then a whole lot of separate public IPs with VPN tunnels. So we've got cost, we've got complexity, we've got multiple devices, which added a completely different dimension to this ecosystem. We then got involved and simplified the whole approach. We applied software onto a server, locks out in the field, and we secured the whole system. We reduced the time for deployment. We gave them more flexibility in their ecosystem, and there was a cost saving to what we did for them. And the scalability going forward, they can add as much as they want, no limitations. In the next 2 slides, we're just showing you a little bit more around different vendors and technologies that we've done. This was one for a retail case, 5,500 employees, 323 outlets, and their biggest challenge was they had 100 external partners they needed to manage. By using Tosibox technology, we gave them full control and access to their environments to provide their external partners with secure connectivity, audited logs. They knew exactly when the partners were connecting, and it was all on a real-time basis. The same from machine manufacturers. So in this case, there was optimization around service teams and not having to have cars running all over the place in order to support the equipment that was deployed out into the field. By using Tosibox technology, they optimized their whole processes, reduced the cost of their service teams running around, and any travel that was done was, as I mentioned before, to replace mechanical components. And they've optimized their whole processes, and they've given themselves total transparency of every single device on the edge. When we have a look at the hardware components that create all of this, on the machine side, so on the facility side where the data is generated, we have multiple different locks in their different facts and forms. The end result is exactly the same. The only difference between the components is at what speed and with what connectivity you're doing this. So there's different units for different applications. Have a look a bit further into these. Let us assist you with your application, what you need, and we can select the best possible unit for the environment. Then on the user side, we have a couple of different options as well to suit the different technologies. So whether you're using PC, Mac, iOS, Android, and so forth, we have hardware or software options to create that end-to-end security. Then I mentioned about how we get started. So now coming to the end of my presentation, the most important side is I told you about the technology and I've told you how easy it is. How do you evaluate this for yourself? So what we've done in this case is we've put together some promotional starter kits. These kits are available in either a LOC 150 or a LOC 500, so entry-level technology or high-end technology. We've added some hardware keys, some software keys, some mobile keys for tablets and smartphones, and we've given you the ability to now buy this and trial it for yourself. But this is not just a POC pack. This is a pack that you start with, and you can grow your business and scale from there. So it's the start of a Tosibox journey towards the future of your OT networking. Ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, I'm going to thank you for the time today. I am 3 minutes over schedule, so I apologize for that. I hope that the information shared on Tosibox technology was of value. Please keep in mind that this technology is available from all the different offices and markets within the LAPP group. So feel free to chat with your local rep within LAPP. If there's any more technical details needed, they will reach out to both myself and my technical colleague, Gavin Kaya. So I leave that with you. I thank you for the opportunity today, and I'm going to hand you over to Boon Hong for closing out this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. So as all of you may have known, for LAPP, like Tosibox, we have a vast range of industrial communication products as well, supported by 4 brand names: Unitronic, Etherline, Epic, and Hytronic. These cover the different technologies in actuators, sensor interface, field bus, Ethernet, data connectors, and fiber optics. So we have a very last slide for all of you attending this webinar. We have come to the end of today's session. I would like to leave you with a very famous quote: "Always won't open new doors." We hope that with the info of insights and our own beliefs of how we manage the isolation economy, this will greatly help you to shape yours as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark and Boon Hong, for taking us through the presentation session for isolation economy today. So we already have a few questions coming in from the Q&A panel from our attendees. So we have some time and we can take a couple of questions right now. So we have a question on 4G modem. So the question is, which USB 4G modem can I use with the LOC 150? And I'm based in India. Do I need a VPN connection?
Okay, so just keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, Tosibox technology is your VPN connection. So we create the connectivity and take away that concern for you. When it comes to the modem, we have some standardized modems, starting with standard Huawei dongles, then going through to industrial grade 4G modems. These are all available from LAPP. You can get more information on the Tosibox.com website. And if you're planning to use a modem which is not in our standard range, we ask that you just check that it has been used and it's a certified serial number, say for instance within a Huawei dongle, so that we can guarantee the interoperability. Otherwise, if you're looking for that guarantee and scalability, we have it available. It's cost effective. Use it as part of the package from Tosibox, okay, available from LAPP.
All right, thank you, Mark. So we have another question from an attendee from Singapore. There's a feedback as well. So thank you to the presenters, and it's my first time attending a LAPP webinar. So I'm interested to find out what kind of cybersecurity standards are Tosibox product based on?
Okay, so when we have a look at the technology, and remember we spoke about standardized IT technology that professionals understand. So Tosibox uses OpenVPN as a technology. We use AES encryption as an encryption layer. We use SSL and TLS for transport and security certification. Where we differentiate ourselves is that automated approach on packaging all of that to creating the same connection over and over again to maintain that security. Then if you have a look at security standards above that, Tosibox complies with the ISA security standard, okay, which then gives us the next level in conformance around our complete technology and ecosystem.
Okay, thank you. So we have a few more questions, but we have time to take one more. And for the rest of the questions, we follow up with the attendees after the webinar. So here's the question. I would like a one-on-one consultation to set up the LOC 500. And can I have more information about the starter kit that Mark has just shared? So let me first answer the first part of the question, and Mark, you can probably continue. So we will send out a post-webinar email to attendees for all the resources and the starter kit that was shared in the webinar. And also to answer your questions, does Tosibox now ship worldwide? Maybe Mark, you can take the question from there.
Okay, so to answer the first question, setup of the LOC 500 with pleasure. We have technical engineers in a B2B support function available on different time zones. So we can schedule a session with you and do a live setup with you while you're going through it. This can be scheduled with Boon Hong and team, okay? If you're in the Asia Pacific market, and just send him an email and we can schedule that. We also have available B2B sessions similar to what we've done today, but understanding more around your applications in specific. If you give us preparation around possible ecosystems that you would like to create, we're happy to then bring Tosibox into that and overlay it over that ecosystem to show you the value add and optimization, like what we did in the diagrams that we presented to you today. From a global approach, we have operations, I think at the moment, it's just over 50 countries around the world, which we distribute Tosibox into. So yes, we're a global organization. The uniqueness about our technology is you're not linked to an ISP or service provider. You're able to deploy Tosibox locks anywhere in the world. We do it currently in 130 countries around the world where people have used our technology. We do hundreds of thousands of units every year, giving the ability for people to create their own private networks.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. So we will also be following up with the rest of the questions with you individually after the webinar. So once again, on behalf of LAPP Asia Pacific, we want to thank all of you for joining us for today's webinar. We will be sending you a copy of today's handout post-webinar, so do look out for the email. We hope to see you again in our next webinar. Our next webinar session is on 17th of June, and the topic is on getting the most out of your drag chains. Till then, have a great day, stay healthy and safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.